Hello, this is David for 3 Arcs. Today we're going to go ahead and roll up a character using Castles and Crusades. And today we have Joseph. Hi, Joseph.
Hey, how's it going?
So Joseph, we talked about you making a new character for the campaign in using Castles and Crusades. And I know you talked about a class and a name for your class.
Yeah, I'm thinking of a human rogue, and we'll name him Raskolnikov.
That's a great name. Okay, so the first step in creating a character. Well, first off, we do have this character sheet. It's one of the optional sheets that you can find online where it's specific to the class, as you can see here. And in the bottom left-hand corner, they actually list out their character class abilities. So it's very useful. The only problem with these particular character sheets, it's really hard to create a multi-class character. There's also the generic ones you can use as well that you can get online. All right, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to do the 4-die-6 method. We're going to roll 4-die-6, and you're going to pick the best 3, and you're going to place them in any order you want. So I'll go ahead and write them on a piece of scrap paper.
All right. Oh, that was not a great roll.
Ouch. That's bad.
7.
Okay, so this 7.
Hopefully it gets better from here. Oh, that's much better.
Wow. See, that's what the old school dice can do for you. 18. That's the luck of old school dice. 1977 original dice from the box set.
Not too bad. So let's see. 14.
Nice.
Not a great one again.
Another 7. 7s give you a penalty, unfortunately.
Well, maybe he just won't be very charismatic. And that's a 1, right?
This is the Gary Con dice that I got. Nope, that's
a 6. Nice. Okay.
That's a 17.
Nice.
Wow, you got a really good character so far. Okay, one more roll.
All right. Hopefully another 18.
And a 10. Average.
Better than nothing.
Okay, so you're definitely going to have some skills and shortcomings. Definitely. So I'm going to go ahead and explain to you about where to place these, because Castles and Crusades uses a seeds system. Okay, so with the seeds mechanic, it's used to determine savings throws and skill checks. There is no skill list in this game. So whatever action you perform in the game, you'll perform a skill check equivalent to that action, like strength, dexterity check, wisdom check, a charisma check, when you're trying to haggle, things like that. So one mechanic called the Siege Engine covers all this without all these charts to review. And you can instantly come up with a number of what the player needs instantly without referring to countless charts and pages in the Dungeon Master Guide or Player's Handbook. It's a very elegant, simple solution that speeds the game up. So the way the Siege Engine works is you have to pick primes and non-primes. Now, each character class has a required prime, and Rogue's prime is dexterity. So one of your primes must be dexterity. Demi-human races have 2 primes, and that means you're going to choose 2 primes in this list, and the rest will be non-primes. But since you're human, you're allowed to have 3 primes. I think the reasoning behind that is demi-humans have all these special abilities like infravision and detect secret doors and things like that, and humans get hardly anything for special abilities. So to make up for that, what's the word for that?
Versatile?
Yeah, humans have versatility, and that's why they get the 3 primes. So as a human rogue, you're going to pick 3 of these to be your prime. This is how primes work. Whenever you roll a savings throw on this chart, like paralyzed, breath weapon, disease, poison, it's going to be one of these attribute rolls that you're going to have to roll for. And so if it's a prime, you need a 12 or higher. If it's not a prime, it's going to be 18 or higher. And you get 3 of these. So let's say you get poisoned in the dungeon. And as a dungeon master, I'll ask you to make a poison savings throw. So poison will be a con check. So I'm going to ask you, is it a prime or not a prime? And if it's not a prime, it's going to be 18 or higher, plus your attribute modifier bonus, of course. And then if you failed, you're poisoned. And so the same thing with all these others, like charm, person, fear, confusion, magic, disease, breath weapons, paralyzation. This saving throw chart is very important because it determines what you need to make a save, and if it's a 12 or higher or an 18 or higher, depending if it's prime or not. Same thing with skill checks. If you're trying to move a boulder, I'm probably going to ask you to make a strength check. Okay, is it prime or not prime? Well, to move that boulder, you need an 18 or higher. It's not a prime. If you're trying to walk across a tightrope or jump from a tree limb onto a horse or something, it'll probably be a dexterity check. Is it a prime or not a prime? If it is a prime, it's going to be 12 or higher to succeed. Plus, of course, your ability modifiers. Constitution check if you can hold your breath. Charisma check if you can bluff or bribe a guard or get a better deal at the marketplace. All these come into play. Wisdom is a very important mechanic for surprise and for noticing something about a character, or noticing something in a room or an object. Something's off about that, or something's off about that character. He seems kind of greedy. When we role play this, generally we don't roll. Generally, we do not roll for these things when it comes to skill checks. The player role plays what they're going to do, and then the Dungeon Master responds to what they're doing and gives them the results. But you do not roll unless there's a critical chance of failure. So if it's something that's really risky or difficult to do, generally then I'll ask you to make a skill check roll. But if it's something that you're role playing, you're doing well, and you get a good chance of success, I usually not have you roll at all. It's a matter of how good of a role player you are. Just say that right, and I have to edit all that out. Okay, so knowing this, you have 3 primes because you're a human rogue. Now rogues have these character class abilities, and they all have their own attribute roles to perform that action. So let's go through the list real quick. I know we have the player's handbook. In the player's handbook, we can start at the very top. So the first one is you can wear leather padded or leather coat without penalty. So that's the first level ability that you have. That has nothing to do with the attributes, of course. The second one is back attack with +4 to hit. And you also have to be moving silently to be able to perform that action. And you do double damage if you do hit. The third one is speak cant, coded words, and gestures, which is Thieves' Cant. That doesn't require any kind of ability check. The next one is climb any surface. The next one is climb any surface. That's going to be a dexterity check. So to remind yourself, can you put DEX next to that?
Sure.
So it's immediately obvious when we're role playing. I'll ask you, what attribute does that need to be able to perform that action, and you'll just tell me. So that'll be a dex check. So dex is important if you want to climb. The next one is decipher scripts, languages, or codes. That's an intelligence check. So write INT next to that. So we know that intelligence is important for you if you want to ever do that. And the next one is listen up to 30 feet. That's a wisdom check. WIS. So far, all these attributes are becoming important here.
It looks like this one's a dex too.
Oh.
Conceal.
Oh, I'm sorry, we skipped one. So conceal yourselves is a dex check. Move silently indoors and outdoors is another dex check. Only rangers can do that outdoors, but you can do them both. Next one is open locks. That's a dex check.
I'm noticing a pattern here.
And the next one's pickpocket. That's a dex check. And the final one is find, disable, and set traps. Intelligence check. So you got 2 that require intelligence checks. You got a whole bunch of dexterity checks, and you have 1 wisdom check. But then again, you also have to think, if you ever have to make a saving throw versus poison, that might be important. Constitution gives you more hit points. When you roll for your hit points, you might get a con bonus. So these are all important things you have to consider for your character.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
So if I choose, as a human, there's only really 3 different attributes that apply. I could just choose Dex, Intelligence, and Wisdom, and then all of my attributes would be covered under my primes.
That is true, but if you ever get poisoned, that's not going to be a prime. And if you ever want to talk your way out of a situation or gather information, charisma is a check for that. And if it's not a prime, then you need to roll an 18 or higher. So it's something to think about.
Yeah.
It's a hard choice.
Indeed.
And then on top of all that, of course, strength. Strength not only will give you the ability to move or pick up something, but also a bonus for damage and to hit. for a melee weapon.
Well, it seems like dexterity, well, it has to be a prime, so we can already mark that as a prime. But I think for a rogue, an 18 is great for their dexterity. It's going to give them a bonus to hit with ranged weapons, and rogues typically will use ranged weapons.
I'll put the chart up on the screen, but an 18 is a +3 modifier. So if you put an 18 dexterity here, it's going to be a +3. That +3 modifier will add to your armor class and your bonus to hit with a missile weapon.
And you'll get a bonus against saving throws for traps. That sounds like a great...
That's something I didn't mention. Traps. I mean, if you can't find a trap, or if you fail the trap and it springs on you, you'll have to make a saving throw versus that trap.
Well, I'm convinced. It seems like dexterity is a great place to put this 18.
Okay, so go ahead and put a +3 modifier there. Nice. Okay, now you have a 17. That's a hard one.
Well, if I want to be a fighting rogue, I guess having a strength, even if it's not one of my primes, would be really beneficial. And paralysis, it's not a great place to be, so I guess I'll put my 17 in strength, and that'll give me a +2.
Yes, +2.
Nice.
So +2 to hit, +2 to damage with melee weapons. But if you ever use a missile weapon, it's +3 to hit. Well, 14 will give you a +1 bonus. 14 will give you another +1 bonus. So it's important where you put this one at.
And that's my last +1 bonus, right?
Yes. So remember, when you make a 12 or higher or 18 or higher roll, you add the bonus to that. It doesn't matter if it's prime or not. But also with Constitution, it'll give you +1 to your hit points.
Well, would it help to narrow it down if I choose my other primes? Or should I choose my other primes after I assign my attributes?
It's totally up to you. You really have to think about all this together to determine your best course of action here.
Well, Wisdom covers so many different types of saving throws. Confusion, Divine Magic, Gaze Attack, Petrification, Polymorph. I feel like, plus, I have at least one skill that uses Wisdom. So I know at least one of my primes I want to be Wisdom.
Okay.
Not sure if I want to get a +1 on that, though. +1 on Charisma would be helpful for a rogue.
And Intelligence is a save versus magic and illusions.
+1 to my Constitution will give me a +1 to my hit points roll, right?
Yes.
Well, if I want to be a fighting rogue, then I guess I'm going to have to get as many hit points as possible, so I'll go for the +1 Constitution.
Okay. What's interesting is if you pick a different race, you get a racial bonuses and negatives too. But you're human, so there's no modification to these stats. But you get 3 primes though.
Yeah.
Now you're 2 7s. Both 7s will give you a -1 penalty.
And that won't affect my saving throw with a prime?
No, if it's prime, it's 12 or higher. Not a prime, it's 18 or higher. That -1 penalty is to the roll.
Tough choices. I think I'm going to make my next prime Intelligence just to help with magic and illusions.
And setting traps. Because it's required for, Intelligence is required for disabling and finding traps and setting traps, also for deciphering scripts and languages.
So then, with that in mind, I'd rather be an intelligent rogue. So that's just a nothing.
Yeah. No negative, no penalty, no bonus.
So then with 2 7s, there's not much of a choice left. So a -1 to Wisdom and a -1 to Charisma.
So to remind you, whenever you want to talk to somebody, try to convince them of something or try to intimidate somebody, and you have to make a charisma check, it's going to be 18 or higher, -1. You're going to need a 19.
I'll let someone else in the party do the talking.
Perfect. Okay, so the next step is rolling for hit points.
All right.
What does rogues roll? A rogue needs a die 8, I think.
D6.
Okay. A rogue needs a d6 for hit points, so go ahead and roll. And your constitution bonus is +1.
1d6. 3.
Okay, you're a rogue with 4 hit points.
Oh boy.
In this game, you're dead at -10. You're actually still can crawl and talk down to -3, and then at -7, you're unconscious and you're bleeding to death, 1 hit point per round until -10 when you're dead. All right, so we don't need that no more. Go ahead and put your human race in level 1.
And level 1.
Okay, now we're gonna roll for gold. It's 3 die 4 times 10. So go ahead and roll those dice.
Okay. That's
That's a 4.
4. Nice. 3.
That's a Gary Con die. And 4.
Another 4.
110 gold. Congratulations. So with 110 gold, you can pretty much be able to buy almost anything you want. So you can buy leather armor. The requirements for a rogue.
But they can't wear anything metal armor.
So a rogue has a lot of weapons to choose from and armor. Armor, they can wear leather coat, and padded armor. So you can go ahead and wear leather, which is armor class 12, and you're not going to have a shield. So armor class 12 plus your dexterity bonus is +3. You're going to have an armor class of 15.
Nice.
Actually, on this chart, it breaks it down. So I'll put a 12 here, and then tribute modifiers +3. And there's no level bonus. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the hit. I need to read all that. Okay.
It still works because I still get a +3.
Yeah, let me start on this. Okay, here in the AC line, it's 10 plus your armor bonus is +2. Leather armor is +2. And you don't have a shield. Your tribute modifier is +3, so put +3 there. And right now there's no miscellaneous modifier. So your armor class is going to be a total of 15. So you can put a 15 here, I'm sorry.
Okay.
That just breaks it down so you can remember what your armor class is. Your movement is going to be 30 feet per round. And this will become encumbered, but I don't think we're going to be encumbered right off the bat with your equipment. So you have leather, and now you're going to buy some weapons. So let's do that real quick and we'll wrap this up.
Okay.
So we're going to buy some weapons. So let's go ahead and do some standard weapons for now. Back attack states that the weapon can't be longer than your forearm. So we're looking at a long sword. I'm sorry. We're looking at a short sword or less.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and put a short sword here, and then right below that, put a dagger.
And a dagger.
Okay, so your bonus to hit with a short sword with a strength that's 17 is +2 to hit, and +2 for damage. And your weapon damage is 1d6. There you go. And dagger is a +2 to hit and +2 to damage. And it's 1d4. And go ahead and put dagger thrown. Yeah, that
Sure.
when you throw the dagger, this is gonna be a little different. Okay, the rule states in Castles Crusades is certain weapons that you throw uses only strength to hit, strength for damage. So the thrown dagger is the same, +2 to hit, +2 to damage. And the weapon damage is 1d4 again. And then under notes, you can put the range. So R and G, and I believe the range is, I'll have to look it up. Okay, the range is 20 feet, so put 20 there. You go ahead and put a slash after that, put 40, and then 60. So that'll be short, medium, or long. Short range is +0 to hit. Medium range is -2 to hit, and long range is -6 to hit in this game. Okay, now I want you to do another thing. So go ahead and skip a couple lines and put a missile weapon here. You want a sling or a short bow or a crossbow?
Short bow sounds good.
Okay, short bow. With a short bow, we're going to use their dexterity to hit, so it's +3 to hit, but it's +0 for damage. And a short bow does 1 die 6 damage. And the range, I believe. Okay, so the range for short bow is 60 feet, so I'll put 60, 120, then 180 for short, medium, and long range.
60, 120, and 180.
Yes, that's it. Now, I'm going to do something special here. It's called dual wielding, and you're welcome to do that optionally anytime you want. So go ahead and put short sword and dagger here again. Skip a couple lines.
Okay.
And if you want, you can categorize that double line as dual weapon or dual fighting. Or you can highlight the whole square to get both squares together so you know that that's what this rule is for. These line items are for dual wielding. There you go. Okay, so it's -3 to hit with your prime weapon and -6 to hit with your second weapon, but your dexterity offsets that. So since you get a +3 dexterity, it's +0 to hit. And so that means you're going to use your strength modifier. So +2 to hit, +2 to damage. Because your strength gives you those modifiers. Dagger is -6 to hit. Your dexterity offsets it by +3, so it's only -3 to hit. So it's -3 to hit, +2 to hit for your strength, so it's only -1 to hit. So put -1 to hit next to dagger, and your damage is +2. What's interesting about dual wielding is, it's harder to hit, but you're attacking twice per round. The odds of hitting at least once is a lot greater, and the odds of actually doing much more damage by hitting twice is much more beneficial than attacking with only one weapon per turn. So.
Yeah, I definitely need that extra hit.
Okay, so I think that wraps up the characters so far. You'll have some leftover gold to spend to buy more equipment, of course, like backpacks and torches and thieves' picks and tools and things like that. So what do you think of your rogue that you created here?
He looks good. He's definitely not much of a talker or charmer, but I think he can fight well. And with that dual wielding, I think he'll be a formidable foe.
Great. Thank you so much, Joseph.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.